that we are no longer in the business of managing emissions. We need to get emissions to zero. And for carbon emissions, which are the most important emissions, the zero needs to actually happen by 2050, 35 years from now approximately. That's a very short period of time, but that is still doable. Now, of course, it also means that we need to get, in reality, rid of fossil fuels. You might have heard different timelines used as the sort of IPCC recommendations, but you have to be very careful in looking into the assumptions behind those different timelines. Those that suggest that we still have time until the end of the century include all emissions, all possible scenarios with all kind of quite, I would say, dodgy assumptions of the world. But if we're realistic and if we apply precautionary principle, and look at the world and the impacts we are already seeing, like the key glaciers in the West Antarctic ice sheet crossing a point of no return. We are in the world where we need to bring carbon emissions to zero by 2050, just simply looking at the IPCC science. Now, if this review is successful, we can get a strong scientific input into the Paris Agreement. And the Paris Agreement could, for the first time, send a signal to the world that we are no longer in the business of managing emissions. We are phasing them out. And in practice, it means phasing out fossil fuel emissions. And that is what we hope the countries will take as the key message from the expert dialogue. Now, the good news is that in the text, that in the actual negotiation that countries will conduct here, we already have that goal. Zero carbon by 2050. And all countries need to do is to support this goal, to make it a joint goal for everyone, and to strengthen it further by explaining what it means for fossil fuels. It means getting them to zero, leaving at least 80% of the known reserves into ground, and stop looking for new oil because we've already found too much. Now, to conclude, this is truly one of the key issues for the Paris Agreement, because if the Paris Agreement is going to make a difference to the world, it needs to send a strong signal to the investors, to local decision makers, to everybody, that we are moving together beyond fossil fuels. It's the end of the game for fossil fuels, and that's what the review tomorrow and today can help bring forward.